This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 734 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Today's tip is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Hi, Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Horses in the Morning Show, episode number 568. TheHorse.com's digital editor, Michelle Anderson, and Amy Oak team up with the Hit'em Gang for a chat about foal pneumonia, just in time for those early spring foals. But first, let's hear from our sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products. Spooky, tense, edgy, unfocused. If these words describe your horse, a calming supplement could make training easier and riding more fun. Trouble-free paste from Kentucky Performance Products is scientifically formulated to support proper nervous system function and help your horse maintain a more confident, focused, and relaxed disposition. Trouble-free contains a blend of ingredients that support your horse's normal nerve cell and muscle function and is available in a convenient 80cc oral dosing syringe containing two 40cc servings. Ask for Trouble-Free from Kentucky Performance Products at your local feed and supply store or go to www.kppusa.com. And now, on with today's tip.
Well, howdy, Michelle. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, Glenn.
Good to have you back. It's kind of like, we were talking about socks earlier, Jamie. Well, this is kind of like, wearing a comfortable pair of socks today. Everybody's back in place for the first time in a week.
It feels good. Finally. Feels good. So I have to tell you guys, I'm living a little bit on the edge today.
Have you been drinking already, Michelle?
It's very early here. It's 7 a.m. So no, I take what I do for you very seriously, right? You know that.
Yeah, we know that. Yep.
Yeah, and so I always, in my office, I always clear my space of my wandering pets. So the dogs get kicked out, so I don't have any dog alarms. But today I have my co-pilot is my new puppy who's sitting right behind me.
Oh,
but
Lord.
He hasn't barked yet, though. I haven't heard a bark out of him, so I think he's going to be good.
So what is he? Tell us about your new puppy.
He's a healer puppy, or a cattle dog. He's blue, and he came from a rescue that brought him up from California. We have a local rescue in Oregon that the gal who runs it handles dogs for entertainment and television. She goes down to California and she brings high-risk dogs out. And this little guy at 12 weeks old was on the kill list, and she brought him up because he was very shy and didn't let anyone touch him. And so he is my best friend now. He's my buddy.
I'm so proud of you for getting a rescue dog.
I thought you'd like that, Jamie. I'm really, really happy with him. He's such a good little guy. It breaks my heart that dogs like this don't find homes.
Oh, my gosh. I'm looking at his picture on your Facebook page, and he is one colorful doggy.
Isn't he handsome? So,
he's colorful.
Yes, and Glenn knows I lost my older male corgi right before Christmas, so I was pretty brokenhearted. So he's perked me up. But he promises to be a good boy. The other corgi is outside, though. She can't make any such promises.
Well, you know what? After the years of my dogs barking on this radio show, I welcome your dog barking. So it takes the pressure off me.
Okay. We try to run a professional organization here, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay, well, my dog's under my desk right now, so.
Okay.
Greyhounds don't bark. I don't have that problem. She's never barked. So let's get on to the topic at hand, and it looks like we're going to start off 2013 with some pneumonia talk.
Yeah. So we have Dr. Stacy Oak on with us today, and she is one of our freelance writers for The Horse. She does a lot of content for us for the print publication and for online. One of the great things about the information that we provide is that a lot of it is produced by vets like Stacy or Dr. Oak. I know her as Stacy. And then it's also vetted by our editorial board of veterinarians who look at everything that goes through. So is Stacy here with us?
Yes, I am.
She is.
Hey, welcome, Stacy. She's up in Canada. And Stacy, how long have you been writing for us? Because I don't even know that you predate me.
I started writing for The Horse in 2007.
Okay, so you've been at it for quite a while. And you produced this piece. It's in the January issue for everyone who's gotten their print copy. Mine just came in the mail. But it's about foal pneumonia, and it has this baby on the front cover. But I want to start out, because we're all kind of familiar with pneumonia in humans, but what is pneumonia, Stacy, and what causes it in horses?
It really just refers to an infection of the lungs, so it's really a non-specific term, and it can be caused by viruses, bacteria, and even fungi.
Okay. And so what is causing it in horses usually? What do we run into?
In horses, the most common cause would be viruses and bacteria, and in foals, Rhodococcus equi and Streptococcus would be the two most important causes of pneumonia.
Okay. And then what are the clinical signs that we see in the horses that get pneumonia?
A lot of it is, like you said, similar to humans, for example. And so when you get a cold, you've got a cough, you feel bad, you lose your appetite. Foals, which you can see in the print edition of the magazine, they have this very thick, yellowish nasal discharge as well.
Okay. And so is there any lethargy?
Definitely lethargy, and, in very young foals, they may not be nursing, which is concerning because they can lose weight quickly and become dehydrated. And in most cases of pneumonia, you'd also have a fever.
Okay. And so we usually are talking about pneumonia in foals, and adult horses can get pneumonia, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But before we get off the what they actually have, I had pneumonia really, really bad once, and the coughing was incredible. Is there coughing in horses?
Yep, they definitely do cough.
Okay.
Yep.
So what is that, like a deep guttural cough that we'd be looking for? Because, like I have my horse, when I am warming him up, he'll kind of, do the clearing of the lungs cough. It's a little bit of a stable cough.
It would be, it would sound a little bit similar to that, but, this is a cough that just is going on and not resolving, and it's not, just on, it could just be in the initial stages of the infection. It could be, when the foals are running around and they get winded and out of breath, but then as it progresses, they'd certainly be coughing even at rest and constant or bouts of coughing.
Okay.
Well, we all know what that's like from listening to our spouse when they have a cold and getting into the coughing stage all night long in bed. We all know what that's like.
If you don't stop coughing, I'm going to be screaming from the house.
I'm going to the couch.
Well, and it's heartbreaking when our animals are coughing like that, too, because there's nothing nothing worse
for our animals that have pneumonia than our spouses.
Exactly. Yeah, no, husband, go take a nap. But horse, oh, no. But so we're talking specifically about foals, but why are foals more susceptible to pneumonia than an adult horse?
Foals, when they're born, their immune systems are not mature, and they don't have any antibodies which help fight infections circulating in their blood. And so they get these antibodies from the colostrum, which is the first milk from the mare. So foals that either didn't get enough, or even if they did get enough, their immune system is just not mature enough to fight off infections from bacteria and viruses. Not all foals are going to develop pneumonia, but they're certainly more at risk than an average adult horse is if they're exposed to a disease-causing organism.
Okay, and so that's part of the passive transfer of immunity from mare to foal. So once we have one baby that gets it, it seems like farms get very concerned about it spreading among the rest of their herd. Is it highly contagious, or does it depend on what's causing it?
It really depends on what is causing the pneumonia. So in the case of Rhodococcus equi, that bacteria, it's in the soil pretty much on every single horse farm, but it's only in certain farms or in certain geographical areas that you have, a group of foals that are exposed to it and become infected. And it's, how the foals, how quickly their immune system is maturing, and the number of the bacteria that are in the dirt and in the soil, the kind of pasture, is it a farm that has lots of mares and foals on it every year, and the bacteria is building up in the environment. And so those are the foals that would be more at risk for developing pneumonia.
Okay. And so I definitely want us to talk about how we treat it, but why don't we start, since you just described how it can be passed among all the babies, describe prevention. What can you do to prevent this from happening?
Well, I did some digging, and these new guidelines have come out from the American College of Veterinary Internal Medicine, and it's a consensus statement. So they dig up all the literature that they can find on the topic. In this case, it was R. equi. And they review the literature, and they try to determine how strong the evidence is to make recommendations. And so their recommendations for prevention are pretty much non-existent. And because we don't know enough about the immune system of the foal, and even, why some foals get it and others don't when they've all been exposed. So preventing it is really difficult. One thing that they do recommend is screening foals with ultrasound on farms that have had a problem with it in the past.
And that would be an ultrasound of the lungs, correct?
An ultrasound of the chest, yeah. And so, a foal can appear totally healthy, and yet when you ultrasound its chest and its lungs, you can see evidence of abscesses in the lungs, and even though they appear totally healthy. Now, the problem with this, though, is that if they're not ill, do you treat them or do you not? Because there's no guarantee that foal is going to get sick, even if it has evidence of abscess on ultrasound. So,
because their body might fight it.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So if their immune system is developed enough, then they still have a chance that they can fight that off, and they will be totally fine.
Okay. So maybe antibiotics, maybe not. But
right.
Once the clinical signs set in, then what?
Then those are definitely the ones that you'd be wanting to treat sooner than later.
Okay. And so besides antibiotics, is there anything else supportive care-wise that your vet might recommend?
Certainly keeping the mares and foals of a similar age isolated from other foals is a good idea. I mean, they're just general management practices that are good for any type of infection control, not just rhodococcus and not just pneumonia. And, keeping the manure picked up, because rhodococcus loves living in manure and can divide very quickly. And so picking up manure, and also if, just really being on top of it. If you've had a problem in the past, then chances are it's not just going to go away on its own.
Okay. So when you were researching this article, you talked to a couple different experts. What was something that you didn't know about rhodococcus as a vet that you learned, or pneumonia in general, that you learned as you were working on this piece?
Well, when I was speaking with Dr. Noah Cohen at Texas A&M University, who's a total expert on this topic, unlike me, but he said that ultrasound screening is a great tool, and it really helps identify any foal that's at risk for developing pneumonia due to rhodococcus equi. And so he estimated that only about 15 to 30% of the foals that have evidence of abscess in their lungs will actually go on to develop the pneumonia. So he is saying that some farms routinely treat any foal that has abscesses, and that means that up to 60% of those foals do not need antibiotics. And so the problem with over-treating is that it's expensive, number one, and number two, they can develop diarrhea and they have adverse reactions to the antibiotics. And the third one, which is probably the most concerning at this point, is that antibiotic resistance is developing. And so there's evidence that these antibiotics are not working as well as they once were, which the problem with that is we have very few to no other choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is scary for the future.
Very scary.
We don't have options to treat our animals. Well, Stacy, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about this topic. and really enjoy the work that you do for us. And I want to point out to the audience that if you want more information, you can read Dr. Oak's article in the January issue. You can get that online at thehorse.com. You can subscribe to the digital edition. You can buy the single copy, however you want to do that. The article isn't available online, but we do have some other resources. There's a fact sheet on REQI if you go to the free report section. That's a free download that you can print out and keep. It has clinical signs, and actually Stacy wrote that as well. It has clinical signs and treatment options for our equi, and then also some prevention tips. And then we have the end of this month, on the 31st, we're doing an Ask the Vet Live on thehorse.com at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on foaling and early foal care. So we'll be touching on some of these issues during that as well. And people can go ahead and register for that event at thehorse.com. Coming up in about a week, registration will open for it, and then you can send in your questions as well.
Michelle, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oak. It's good to meet you. Appreciate you being on. And Michelle, as always, we appreciate you coming on every Wednesday.
For sure. I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. See you. Good luck with that puppy. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
good luck. Give him a puppy toy. And now I'm totally paranoid about pneumonia on my horses. So I got to go clean my pastures and get some work done.
Well, there you go. For more tips on horse health, you can stop by horsetipdaily.com and go to the category drop-down menu on the left of the page. If you love listening to the Horses in the Morning gang putting in their 2 cents on horse health topics, tune in at horsesinthemorning.com for a daily fix of horse headlines, useful information, and fascinating interviews. Today's podcast has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Ask for Kentucky Performance Products' new trouble-free calming paste at your local tack and feed supplier, or you can purchase it online at kppusa.com. Please stop by the Horse Tip Daily Facebook page and let us know what you think of the tips you hear on the show. It's also a great place to tell us about topics you'd like to hear us cover on the show. You can subscribe to all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network through iTunes or Zune and get your horse podcasts automatically downloaded to your iPod, Zune, or MP3 player. You can also listen to the shows right on Facebook. The player's right there every day. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, go ride your horse! The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.